What's up, people? So, I got some friends of mine that asked me about multi-tabling in poker and like how I do it and whatnot. So I was gonna make this video. It's kind of this is a cash game video. I'm typically um, specialized in tournaments, but I would say for a few years when I was working in corporate America, I was playing just nothing but cash games on the side on global poker. I used to play 4 tables of 100 max, no limit. Um, could probably only play like 30 hours a month or so. I used to make, I don't know, an extra $1,000. So I never really consider myself like as good at cash games as I am in tournaments. Definitely, I've never studied as much in cash games as I have tournaments, but I still understand like a lot of differences. And I'm just gonna go over a couple things here. So I'm playing on Club WPT, so I'm gonna go over like the Club WPT layout, excuse me, and kind of how I format my screens, and then just talk about the play. Also, showing some features of Club WPT. So the first, if you're not familiar with the site, I'm actually gonna update this in a second because I have looks like right now I have the 2 color deck. So I'm just gonna go and raise this up. And typically, I think it's much easier to play the 4 color deck because I mean, for obvious reasons, you can just see the cards easier and get a really good understanding. So here, and I raised that 3-4 suited on the button. I was kind of just trying to mess with the limpers, and I get re-raised, and then a guy goes all in, and I kind of thought that it would be something like that. These games are extremely loose on Club WPT, and so I try to play them aggressive like I would like a normal cash game, but it's going to be a little bit difficult. You got to kind of pick your spots. So that's fine. You just got to adjust accordingly. Here, there was a raise, a 4x raise under the gun, and then this guy min raised it with a $2.81 cents behind. So, I think if you switch over to the big blind, oh, all right. So I'll just fold the pocket sixes. I mean, it's not worth it to set mine with only one big stack here. And on top of that, the betting wouldn't close with this guy if I was to call. So he could go ahead and re-raise, and I'd basically just end up losing all the chips I invested in it. So I think it's pretty obvious fold with the sixes, and I would have ran in the pocket tens anyways. All right, so another thing that I wanted to show with regard to Club WPT, you can see the people's stats, and I don't know why they do this. They do not allow you to put notes on for the players, but if you click on the person, you could see their stats. So this guy to my left, I know that his voluntary put in the pot is 34%. Typically, they say anything over I think 27 means that you're playing very loose, and you might need to tighten up a little bit more. So he's at 34 with 10% of his hands he pre-flop raises. So he's a pretty loose passive player. But you can go across the board and look at all the stats for everybody and just kind of see how soft or tight the game is. Get an idea of the people that you want to play pots with that are playing a wide range of hands. So regarding the multi-tabling, let's see here. Go ahead and just put out a small re-raise. And that was what I was hoping, exactly what I was hoping would not happen, was the guy in the button coming in behind me. And you see he's a 44%, so he's playing almost pretty close to half of his hands. Yeah, so you see there's going to be a lot of action, a lot of multi-way pots, things like that. All right, so now I get shoved all in. I'd have to call... I'm just going to re-isolate because, I mean, I think that these people are playing so loose. I mean, king, queen suited. I very well could be dominated here. I mean, just any ace king or ace jack, but or ace king or ace queen. Obviously, queens, kings, or aces, but again, just see what happens here. I'm running against jacks, which. All right, so I river a king. All right. Now I just want to talk really quickly about multi-tabling. So you have to work your way up to being able to multi-table. It's really you need to have a mastery and understanding of a lot of different positions that you're going to be in, and understanding when you understand what you're going to do, you can kind of get an idea of like what your opponent might do in those situations. Um, I think it's a lot easier in tournaments. In tournaments, I used to be able to multi-table 10 to 12 tournaments at a time. I don't think that that was ideal for me, but I was just really just trying to get as much action in as I could. Um, oh, geez, so it's such a weird spot. So this guy, I'm just gonna go ahead and fold this here because there's this guy left act behind me, but that was a pretty close spot. I mean, this guy's 49%, so he's playing like half of his hands, and ace three suited. I mean, obviously going against 50% of his hands, but 50% that's kind of misleading in that situation because obviously I raised and there was a call, and then he shoved all in, I believe, on the straddle. So these games on Club WPT, they have a small blind, a big blind, a forced straddle. So this game is 10, 20, 40. And they do that to encourage action to get more recreational gamblers playing, which is totally understandable and completely fine. You just have to, as a poker player, adjust to that. I mean, it's similar to how a lot of the tournaments now in online poker are like mystery bounties and progressive knockout tournaments, because that's what a lot of people want to do. They want to play those tournaments where it's more gambling and trying to knock people out. And there is a skill set to those that you just have to adjust to. It took me a little bit because I was so used to the traditional style of tournaments. And but I'm making that adjustment and understanding the progressive knockouts just being a little bit looser as far as going for knocking players out, because that's going to be a big portion of your ROI in tournaments. All right, so A6 suited on the small blind. I got the big blind and then a straddle left to act behind me. So typically my rule of thumb, and in cash games, I'll just be folding a lot of my weaker hands. In tournaments, depending on how deep I am, I might try to raise them, especially if I have a big stack and the person in a big blind's a smaller stack to where I can kind of leverage my position. I might go ahead and raise it. But my general rule of thumb is I raise the top of my range, so like my best top 10 hands, and then the bottom of my range. Hands like ace 6 suited, king jack suited, king 10, queen jack, hands in that range that I want to see a flop with. I won't raise because if I get re-raised, or even if I just get flat called, I'm going to be out of position and there's going to be more money in the pot being out of position. And that's just not an ideal situation. So a lot of times with my good starting hands that are not great starting hands, I'll just call pre-flop, and if somebody raises me, I'll just call their raise. But that's just serving the purpose of pot control and keeping the pot small, so that I don't get into a situation where I might be forced to call a big bet with just a marginal hand. So again, the top of my range and the bottom of my range, I would raise out of the small blind, and good strong like drawing hands, I would just check or excuse me, just call the big blind, try to get a see if they'll just check, and then a cheap flop, or I'll call and then call a raise, but I won't get too out of line as far as putting more money in the pot out of position. All right, so back to what I was saying about just understanding multi-tabling. You have to have a mastery of what hands are profitable from each position. So you got to know in your first couple of spots, under the gun +1, what hands are profitable from there. So you like your top 10 hands, and especially in cash games where the size of your stack is not that important. And you do need to look around for the table to see any kind of weird stacks that might be willing to shove it all in, and then adjust accordingly from there. But typically, just understanding like all the situations, knowing if you're like, say, if I'm looking at this table in my bottom left-hand corner, and then I'm up in this table and I'm on the button with let's say ace jack suited or something like that, and there's like 3 limpers. I know, well, I can raise these limpers and take a pot in position. Like here's a situation. I was kind of looking at this table from the beginning, but if I was at these other tables, I'll come over here. Okay, 2 limpers. I'm gonna go ahead and make this a 4x raise to $1.60 and play this hand in position. I already got a caller out of the small blind. Another caller to the big blind. So you can see these games are extremely loose on Club WPT. So if you could just come on here and play discipline, play top 10 hands, and understand position, you could probably make some pretty decent money playing even these smaller games if you're 4 tabling. So I pretty much missed this flop completely. Multi-way pot. I'm just gonna look to get out of the way on this hand. Even if it checked to me, I wouldn't fire a continuation bet, because it's just too many people to get through. All right, so here pocket 10's on the button. This is an obvious raise every time. 1 overcard, the king. I just get a caller out of the small blind. Let's look at his stats real quick. So he's playing 40% of his hands. Gonna go ahead and continuation bet, just a tad bit below half. Gets snap called, and not gonna immediately give him credit for a king. He could very likely be on a draw. I'm gonna go ahead and bet. If I get called, I'll just check the river, but it looks like he could very be on that spade draw. And now the 9 pairs, so I'm not going to go for value because there's no hand that he would actually call me with. And he's actually a lot worse than I thought. So he called the flop with ace-5. Really, he should have either been 3-betting pre-flop or folding that ace-5, ace-5 offsuit out of position. I'm going to go ahead and top up at this... So he peeled the flop with just the overcard, the pair of the ace, and then hit an ace on the turn. And I think I just gave him a lot more credit for being a stronger player, and thinking that he actually had something that he could defend with, or that he was going to call out of position with. All right, so okay, so I'm in the I'm on the straddle. It gets 2 callers here. I really don't like doing this, but because I have a feeling these guys are just going to call behind me, and all right, so I got hit my middle set here, and all right, so I'm just going to bet half pot, but I typically don't like just flat calling like a raise like that, especially when there's people in position behind me that can all right, so he raised. He likely has like an overpair. Unfortunately, I probably should just re-raise. That card's probably going to fuck up my action as far as getting paid off. I'm still just going to have to fire away. That 7 to hit the river seems relatively safe. I don't know if he'd call his ship, so I'll just bet. Yeah, that's what I put him on as far as an overpair, aces, kings. I probably should have. I should have shipped that flop. Maybe I was just getting a little bit too cute. But then when that spade hit the turn, I could have went for extreme value on that turn as well, because he had the ace of spades, and he's going to call with pocket aces plus the nut flush draw. And so I lost some value there. But so he raised out of the blinds, and in this game, I'm still going to give people credit for raising out of the blinds, but it doesn't always mean that it doesn't always mean a whole lot. All right, so here ace-3 suited, get raised, actually a raise and then a re-raise. I'm just going to fold this. I'm going to be out of position for the whole hand. I also would not be closing the betting. So it'd be one thing if you're to call out of position, like out of the blinds with a hand like a speculative hand, if you were closing the betting. But it'd be a disaster if I called this guy. This guy's $3.60, and then this guy Rat River went ahead and re-raised, and I would be losing all that money. So you got to be conscientious of if you're the person closing the betting, and also what your position is. So this table's down to four-handed, and I'll probably cut this off right now. So four-handed ace king versus pocket sixes is pretty standard. They're going to get their money in. Also about Club WPT is very weird. Like they don't have an option where. All right, I'm going to go ahead and. I'm likely going to get called out of position, but pocket eights is, again, top 10% of my hand. This guy is probably maybe on tilt. I can't remember if he won that last hand or not with the ace king, or I think this guy had the sixes, but pocket ace is just too strong to fold there. All right, so he rivers a nine, so that is what it is. If he's going to do that with ace nine, granted it's a coin flip against eights. If he's going to do that with ace nine, he's going to do that with ace eight also, which you have dominated. So that's just some things to keep in mind. You're playing your hand against his range of hands. So when I called his shove, I'm not thinking of a specific hand that might be a coin flip. I'm thinking about a range of hands and like what my equity is against his range of hands. And you can't really think of like, oh well, he had ace nine, I lost, whatever. For one, even if you knew it was a coin flip, the pot odds in that situation was going to warrant you calling. You were going to get better than 50-50 odds to make a 50-50 call effectively. So so we got more players on this table, so I'll sit back in. All right, so ace king. After this hand, I'm gonna cut this video off and then I'll start. So ace king is really strong. I'm in the big blind. I still have that straddle to the left of me, but taking a hand in position against this guy to my right with ace king is a very ideal situation. All right, so I get check raised, which I'm gonna go ahead and just peel another card here and see what happens. All right, so he fires away. Before I fold, I'm gonna top up. Just gonna go ahead and fold that. I don't get too out of line as far as in a game like this, as far as making like a 3-bet when he check raised me on a flop, re-raising him on a bluff or anything too crazy like that, because I think that these games are so loose that you can just find your spots and you don't gotta do anything crazy like what you might do in a really tight, strong game. So I'm just really playing as straightforward as I possibly can. And so like, for example, 5-2 offsuit, I pretty much know even if it folds to me, even on the button, it's just not a playable hand for me in that situation. So I can just click the auto fold and then start focusing on these other tables, see what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this video off. I'm going to come right back with another video